be blackmailed. People don't talk about it much, but I've talked to people in the intelligence community who all agree that it was too much of a coincidence that Bill Clinton's talking to Monica Lewinsky on a cell phone, and all of a sudden China got most favored nation status when the Chinese embassy has the ability to pick up phone calls all over the city. So anything could happen when this secret, if I can figure it out, don't think that Putin hasn't figured it out. There was that call we talked about, that discussion last time when Obama leaned over to Medvedev and said, I'll be more flexible after the election. And Medvedev said, I'll tell Vladimir. Now that make your skin crawl if you know what you know after you see this DVD. So you'll see Obama rise using through Acorn. I call him Acorn's front man in Chicagoland. That's who Obama was. He helped lay the foundation for the subprime mortgage crisis when he represented Acorn suing Citibank. He sued for the motor voter law, which the 9/11 hijackers got to vote under and got all their ID. It shows his history with Bill Ayers on these foundations, funneling the foundation money back to Jeremiah Wright and back to Ayers. It's an entire life history in corruption and socialism. If Obama had not been elected president, he would be just another Chicago politician swimming in a cesspool of corruption. And he brought that cesspool to Washington, D.C., along with David Axelrod, who he met through Bill Ayers' father, Thomas Ayers. Axelrod was a lobbyist for Commonwealth Edison. So I've put together all the pieces that everybody feels is pretty strange into a cohesive story where you can understand where he came from and why he does these things and why he associates with these people and why he aspires to a Marxist socialist worldview, because he is pursuing the dreams from his real father.
If you were talking to the American people, say on Nightline right now, to 5, 6, 7 million people, I mean, here you're talking to over 1 million in the aggregate, that if you were talking to just Joe Schmo, or let's say you were given 5 minutes on Jay Leno's show, or let's say you were given 10 minutes at the Super Bowl, what would you impart to them about this? Because they're going to say, hey, communism's dead. It's, you know, sure, China's communist, and sure, you know, they're putting the Red Stars back on the tanks in Russia, and sure, we've got socialist health care, and sure, Obama hangs out with the weatherman, and sure, again, people, you know, hear this stuff about communists. The media told them this doesn't exist anymore.
Well, I would say that all of this discussion that we've heard over the past few years about where Obama was born, all these little things, was just subterfuge that was orchestrated by Obama to hide this deeply dark history and who he is and where he came from and who indoctrinated him. And he was indoctrinated by Frank Marshall Davis, a committed, lifelong communist and Marxist. All you have to do to understand Obama is to ask first the question, instead of where's the birth certificate, the question is, who's the real father? And then once you see who the real father is, he's got an endless amount of his policies, all of his life history. He was for wealth redistribution. He tried to condemn America as an imperialist, warlike country that should withdraw all its influence from all over the world and shrink back into an isolationist mode with one class of impoverished people. This was the communist ideal, and this is what people should understand, that these socialists, they don't compare America to the rest of the world. They compare America to a socialist utopia. So for these socialists, America is hell, and they always feel they have to change it radically to achieve the socialist utopia. But we've seen again and again in history, just take East Germany and West Germany after the war. East Germany adopted National Socialism and communism, and West Germany had a free market. Now, 50 years later, we have a vibrant, wealthy West Germany, and we had an impoverished East Germany, the same thing North and South Korea. So what's most disturbing is it's a failed ideology. It's failing even in its middle level incarnation in Europe, and all these European entitlement societies, they're failing. Obama is casting us in this direction of failed socialism instead of the free markets, which built the wealth and greatness of this country that helped preserve the peace and bailed out the rest of the world so many times. So I would tell everybody on Nightline, go to InfoWarsShop.com and buy the DVD.
Well, exactly. I mean, I was just wondering what you would say to just the average person. But again, I want to go one level deeper here with you. Look at how stocks are up for healthcare right now. Some would say, well, they've gotten their answer, that now things are stabilized. They know which way things are going. But select big mega corporations, none dare call it conspiracy, from the 70s breaks this down, a book we carry, that there is a certain group of rich elitists that want to fund socialism and communism because they think they're going to control the state. They're going to be offshore. They're going to use it to get corporate welfare. And so that's where you have the communists and people who are really almost like they're operatives to go out and take over society. And then, of course, they always wreck things. Then they always put these corrupt fat cat oligarchs in charge over it. And I think that's where you finally can short circuit the so-called left, is showing them these facts and explaining to them that it is the mega rich elite of a small group of them that are monopoly men. Carol Quigley wrote about this at Georgetown, with the communist and socialist forces that are actually waging war against the other corporations, businesses, middle-class families, the engines of entrepreneurial wealth that we know are the engine of everything good. I mean, communism is a nightmare hell. Their argument is once we exterminate any freedom, then we'll have a utopia. I mean, these people are just demons. I mean, I'm ranting there about this economic theorem, but from my research, that's the way the world really works, is the Maurice Strongs and the David Rockefellers who are robber barons and who want to use communism as the vehicle to destroy their competition.
Well, those two forces will eventually collide because their interests will collide. In the meantime, these socialists and communists use crony capitalism to further their endeavors by making all these promises along the way. But I think just like the middle class are pawns and they will be discarded, these oligarchs and the Rockefellers will probably be discarded as well.
Okay, I got to stop you. That is an incredibly astute answer. That would have been my answer. I've known no one else that would have that answer. I'm not trying to say I've got all the things. Look, I'm impressed, but I mean, I personally am impressed from my research. That is exactly right from history. We've seen similar things like this before. The elite doing this are going to destroy themselves. And plus, they're making a giant dependent group of people. I mean, this is a nightmare. This is you couldn't screw up humanity worse than what they're doing.
Well, I think the only way we can stop this is if we get this film to everybody in the country. Because you asked me what would I tell people in a minute or two. The issues, the reason that's hard to do is because, number one, Obama spent 20 years building up this false background, going on these trips to Kenya, writing in his book. He spends, 200 pages about his going to Kenya. And
that's why his publicist says it for 16 years, and it's so. And we're like, look, the proof is your wife says you went back to your homeland, but that was the cover. They ridiculously say we're lying about what's admitted fact, but that fact is a fraud they put out.
Right. So they've been Obama is the king of misdirection. He misdirects people to look in the wrong place. Once I realized that the most likely father was Frank Marshall Davis, and that the Obama Kenyan story was nothing but a cover-up for illicit affair, it wasn't that hard. I found all the pictures, all the video, all the writings of Davis, and it wasn't that difficult. But he used misdirection, and on top of the misdirection, you have the fact that his election was not a sudden political phenomenon. It was the culmination of an American socialist movement that has been penetrating quietly the economy, universities, and the media for decades. I can't even get this film on any of the major networks, and even Newsmax, which we for years, and I advertised my films on Newsmax before, including Atomic Jihad, Ahmadinejad's Coming War, and Obama's Politics of Defeat. Newsmax, I paid them money, and they called me in the morning for my banner campaign and said, it's been pulled. We've canceled your banner ad for Dreams from My Real Father. I said, why? They said, well, we want to move more to the center. We don't want to offend anybody. So even the conservative news outlets are being seduced by this need to capitulate to this leftist agenda and censor.
Joel, it's worse than that. You've hit the zeitgeist. You've hit Count Dracula right in the heart with a big stake, and they don't want you to drive it all the way through. This is dangerous, buddy. I mean, let me tell you, people who haven't seen the film, they don't know what we're talking about. In fact, guys, can we roll while people are watching just his trailer without audio? That's what we did on the radio show. People also watch on the web. And people have got to go to InfoWarsShop.com. Right there, it's the newest product up there. You can see the trailer right there. But we'll roll the trailer in the background while you're talking. I mean, look, it's his mother bent over his couch with another woman. He's admitted pornographer. All this stuff. It's his voice. It's his face. It's his teeth. It's his daddy. In his own book, he writes about him more than anybody, more than his mommy. I mean, this is who he's talking about in Dreams of His Father, because it's really an ode to his communist father. And everything he's doing is for, I mean, it is crystal clear. That's why he goes to Chicago and is suddenly the darling of the ruling communist. Yeah, I mean, he is royalty. He is the royal princeling, because these communists are all about sneaking around and infiltrating. They know they're hated. They know they're scum. They know no one wants them, so they take over the universities, banking, media, everywhere, infesting everything. I mean, that's why they don't want your film out there, because it will destroy them.
Well, Obama, once you see this film, you'll realize that Obama is his father's son, and his father is Frank Marshall Davis, a bitter, angry, lifelong communist. And they, since the 1980s, when Obama was going to these socialist scholars conferences, their strategy was to use code words like problem solving and fair play and push the Democratic Party to the far left. That was their strategy. 20, 30 years later, Obama working in that system, Project Vote, Acorn, all those different organizations that he helped build and promote, they succeeded in turning the Democrats into the Democratic Socialist Party, with an entire media culture protecting them from learning the truth. This film puts the truth all together. I believe in the common sense of America, especially middle America. And the more this film gets out there, I think the more chance there is that we can turn around this deadly Marxist agenda that Obama has brought to the United States, to the White House, through the dreams from his real father, which is none other than Frank Marshall Davis.
Listen, the film is $14.95 at InfoWars.com. You can get it with the free Citizen Rule book, InfoWarsShop.com. They can also get it from other great places out there like your website. We'll give that out in a moment. But all of that aside, I have put out films like The Obama Deception, seen more than 40 million times online. I have put out other films. I have reached, in the last 3 years conservatively, 600 million people on YouTube alone. I mean, I can go through all the pages, all the sites. One of my 8 YouTube sites has, 220 million views. I'm going to tell you right now, obviously, at the price you've got it, the deal you gave us, so we can be competitive with it, you're not in this for money. But I understand there's the strategy of, hey, we invested a lot, we flew all over the place, did this, we got to get our money back. I would tell you now, though, with the media ignoring you, before they put the kill switch in and everything, I would suggest